I was talking to one of my team members. He said, Rick, we just picked up another coronavirus transaction. Well, what does that mean?
Hi, this is Bryan Eisenhower, and I am here with a good friend of mine, a coach at ICC, and a coaching client of mine, and we worked together for a while now. Rick Fuller. Rick, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Bryan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really happy Rick could be on right now. Rick and I talk a lot, and so proud to say this. Rick has the #1 producing team in the San Francisco Bay Area, and they are just gangbusters with the way that team has grown and the way they produce. It's just a bunch of very wonderful people that I've gotten to know, so many of them and their leadership over the years, and that's a big testimony to you, Rick, and the leader you are to assemble such an amazing group of leaders.
Well, thank you, Bryan. You have been extremely instrumental in that. And you and I talk frequently, and you've given us great guidance and direction in your coaching organization. All of our team members use the ICC Learning Center. I mean, it's just part of who we are. It's how we do business, and it's how we train our team members and bring in the very best talent.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Well, I tell you, here's what I'm really excited to have you on about right now, because we live in weird times. You have now, you are in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is the epicenter of the coronavirus shelter in place. I don't know what you call it, stay at home now. I think you've got a few rules you have to comply with.
Oh, we do.
You were one of the first to do it, right? You're the first to go into that.
We were. It was actually, the shelter in place was first announced in San Francisco by the mayor of San Francisco and included 6 counties. And we were one of the lucky counties to be under this shelter in place incorporated. Then it rolled out to all 9 counties in the Bay Area, and then very shortly then after, the California Governor Newsom rolled this out for the state of California, and has, at this point, at the time of this recording, Bryan, has not deemed real estate as an essential business. So you and I have been talking about all the implications of that. And so we really have been in this the longest, and we're adapting accordingly.
Yeah, I'm with you. It is. And there are a few states, a handful of them, where realtors are non-essential, which, boy, that doesn't feel good. No, that doesn't settle well.
It doesn't. I can't think of any business that gets up in the morning and says, I'm non-essential. I'm excited to go be non-essential.
Yes.
It's
terrible. Yeah, shelter, man. I mean, it's right. I mean, I thought shelter was right up there at the top of the primal needs of humans.
I thought it was.
So anyway, so what's funny is, so you're in this place, you are probably in one of the most highly regulated locales in North America right now. I mean, you're one of the first to go that way. Your state government's on it. Your mayor was the first to jump on it. Your state governor was the first state governor to jump on it. So if there's ever an area that I would say is going to frown upon business activity in these times, it would be Northern California. I mean, that's
absolutely right. Yeah, we were at the very beginning of this.
Right. Yet, through our discussions, this is why I said, Rick, we got to get a video on this. Yeah. You're actually seeing a good amount, a surprisingly large amount of transactions take place still.
Well, we are, Bryan. You and I were speaking, and we were talking about what's happening with our current transactions. And what we realized is that it's almost a third, and a third. Meaning this, a third of our clients, when it came to the coronavirus, shelter in place, the complications, all that's associated with that, a third of our clients did cancel, get cold feet, hold off on transactions. That is very true. I can think of one particular client when California rolled out their addendum amendment. We had shared this addendum with this particular client, and they said, guys, we are good, our jobs are good, we're solid, we're not gonna assign the addendum that you have regarding coronavirus. We said, okay, are you sure? And they said, yeah, we're okay. 2 days later, she lost her job and the transaction fell apart. So about a third of our transactions, we have seen some people decide not to move forward, to cancel, and then we've seen this other third. And the other third of the people kind of lift their eyes a little higher than CNN or Fox News, and they're saying, look, this is gonna pass, and I need housing, and I'm moving here, job relocation, or maybe there was a divorce or death in the family. Like, these things are occurring still today. The coronavirus hasn't eliminated the need for some to move around the country. In San Francisco, Bay Area and Sacramento County, you know, we have offices all over in those areas. People are always moving in and always moving out, and it's just part of it. And so we've seen a third people kind of lift a little higher than the current circumstances and say, hey, it's going to be okay. It's frustrating. It might be a little delay in my transaction, but we're going to get through this. And we've seen a third, and this is the interesting one for me. I was talking to one of my team members. He said, Rick, we just picked up another coronavirus transaction. Well, what does that mean? A transaction doesn't have the coronavirus, but it means that for whatever reason related to the coronavirus, homeowners are deciding to sell their home. Some want liquidity, like they maybe run a small business and they need that cash to keep the business afloat. Those on this call know what that's all about. Some, Bryan, said, man, I had a lot of money in the stock market and now I want to buy property. I was on the phone with an investor because we were practicing these virtual showings, you know, that you and I have been talking about, like how do we show property? How do we do the buyer consultation, the listing appointment? Do it all virtually, right? Can't go out and show them homes as we would traditionally do. So I took the lead to do that first myself. I was one of the first ones on our team to do that call. And she said, Rick, the market is producing some unique opportunities right now. This is from the investor. She's saying, Rick, what I'm seeing is that the people who have their home up for sale, well, they really want to sell their home today. And there's less buyers. And that's a really good market for me as an investor. Go find me some great deals. And by the way, my money in the stock market hasn't been doing what I wanted to do, especially here recently. Help me invest in real estate. That's a good long-term investment. I'm like, you're absolutely right. Let's go find you those properties that you want to invest in. So we're seeing this third of people, they did get nervous. That's very real. They did get concerned, and there were fear and uncertainty in the market. Transactions canceled, transactions didn't close. A third of people are saying, you know, this too will pass. Hang in there. Real estate's a long-term investment. I didn't plan to own the home for 8 weeks or 12 weeks. I plan to own it for many, many years. Then we see this new third emerging. I need to sell my home to create liquidity so I have cash in the bank, or help payroll, or sell my investment property, or I really want to invest in real estate because that's a good alternative to what's happening in the stock market. So we're now seeing that third beginning to emerge. And honestly, Bryan, that's hot off the press. It's all happening within the last 72 hours.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm taking notes on that too, because I love the thirds, you know, I love it. That is true. Like from talking with my coaches, you know, especially, you know, selling homes in lockdown. I love, that's going to be my next, it's going to be my next movie right there, starring Joaquin Phoenix. It's going to be selling homes in lockdown. But I'll tell you, it is amazing because you can get, and I really wanted you to do this so we can give a lot of hope to people out there. Because there are a lot of non-essential agents, and then there's just agents that are essential that are, you know, just seeing a difficult environment because they're looking at that first third, right? That first third, man, my deals are falling out. So they're just focusing on those deals falling out.
You know, I gave it to you in that order because that's the order it happened.
Yeah,
right? Like it happened in that order. Like people called us and said, hey, we're canceling. We're not moving forward, cancel. And then we see this second third that remained consistent, just weren't caught up in the circumstances. And only in the last few hours have we begun to see this additional third that's coming in, like, hey, we're going to get through this, list my home. And what's amazing, Bryan, those listing appointments, those buyer appointments, they're not happening face-to-face. They're all happening virtually, and they're securing a buyer representation agreement, or what also is known as buyer broker, or they're securing a listing agreement. They're doing it virtually. After this call, I jump on with another team member who just secured a buyer representation agreement virtually. She never met them. That's the third interview I've done this week, in the last 7 days, with my team who has successfully met somebody they've never met online, connected with them, completed the buyer presentation or listing presentation, concluded with the ratified agreement. So now they're not a customer, they're a client, and they've done it all virtually.
Yeah, and totally safely and in full compliance with all, you know, shelter in place.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things you and I talk about, Bryan, is that just because you're in shelter in place physically doesn't mean you have to shelter your mind, like go underneath the rock. Like there's an education out there. You have to adapt. All business success is a successful adaptation. All business failure is failure to adapt. How do you adapt in today's changing markets? Those who don't change will be changed out in this market. So how do we get ahead of that? and we help people. That's what we do. We help families. Our goal is to serve 500 families, help 500 families this year buy home. So we're just helping families because they still need to move. They still need to transition. And they still need to move from one home to the next.
No, that's great. And I think, it's so funny how it works out. Like the way you said it, like that first third came in, house is on fire, right? Like we're backing out, we're freaking out. So what any agent would do or any human, we're going to jump on that, right? Like that's like, oh my gosh, we got to try to save those or deal with those or call everybody to get out of those or whatever we're doing. So we're back into tending to our business, right?
Right.
And we forget about like trying to get new business, grow our business, develop our business because, oh my gosh, it's the virus, it's the lockdown, it's the deals falling apart, the sky is falling. And it's so easy to do that even in normal times when deals are falling apart and we get consumed in that. And the way that you move through that, and then you start to see, wait a minute, this situation is actually opening up new opportunities. And they always say like the word crisis, I think it's the Japanese word for crisis, is split into like two different parts. And the second part of that is opportunity. You know what I mean? And here you are now moving into that opportunity part. And we're seeing a lot of people pulling out of the stock market into real estate to increase buyer demand, people wanting to invest because it's a safe bet compared to other options. You're seeing people need to sell to get some liquidity. So we're seeing finally a little bit of inventory coming in. We've been complaining about a lack of inventory for like a decade. It's finally coming.
That's exactly right. But you know this, Bryan, you got to skate to where the puck is going, not to where it once was. So in other words, as a real estate team, you can't go back to look to where the old opportunities were. You have to look for the new opportunities. There are opportunities. There are opportunities to help people, and nobody wants to work with an agent that is uncertain, or we don't know everything that's going to happen. I certainly don't. These things are unfolding, but there are a few things that I know. Real estate has been a solid investment for many, many people. And people are going to need to transition from one home to the next. That is going to continue to take place. We want to be there to help them. One of my favorite quotes, Bryan, and I don't know who said it, I just kind of copy it, but it takes a steady hand to hold a full cup. So in this situation, our clients need a steady hand when there's a lot happening in the economy, right? And an unsteady hand spills it all over the place, but it takes the steady hand to hold a full cup. So if you're going to be leading people, be that steady hand, right? That's one of the things I appreciate. I mean, how many videos have you put out in the last week? My goodness, they start early and they end late. Like it takes a steady hand to hold a full cup and have that information. And just because you're shelter under place doesn't mean you shelter your mind and you just go climb under a rock. It means that you double down. Leaders today are working overtime. Leaders today are finding solutions and opportunities that were never presented before. That doesn't minimize this is a devastating pandemic, and we certainly pray for those that have this virus. But we're also responsible to lead our teams and to lead our clients. And they're looking to us. They don't buy and sell a home every day. We help people buy and sell homes every day. All of this is an opportunity for leaders to work overtime to find opportunity that we wouldn't otherwise have.
I agree 100%. And, not to mention provide for their families. I'll throw that one on there too.
And there's nothing wrong with that. America was built off of hard work, responsibility, and going out and providing for your family.
Yeah, now is probably not the time for the life balance conversation. Now is the time to roll up the sleeves. So, this is not a time.
It absolutely is. Bryan, the other thing, if you're running a team, you need two things. You need customers, and we spent a lot of time talking about customers on this call, but you also need team members, right? You need both. And we've been recruiting and looking for talent in a market that has no unemployment. I just read an article a few minutes ago that there were millions of people that filed unemployment this week, right? There's an opportunity to reach out to them and help them get their real estate license and get them on your team. That was not available when the unemployment rate was under 4%. Now we're seeing the unemployment rise. There are opportunities here to help people transition from one career to the next.
Well, that's phenomenal. No, that's great. So now you're actually helping people. And that's all that we're doing right now is we're not hiding. We're helping our clients. We're helping the public. We're staying visible. We're helping the economy. We're staying in full compliance with all, shelter in place and rules and regulations. And we're trying to help people find their way back into the industry as well, too. And you guys have, done such a great job of that thus far. It's no surprise you're continuing to do it through these times of adversity. So Rick, I know you're busy as heck. You probably have another Zoom call with somebody else right after this. But thank you so much for spending a little bit of time to spread some hope out there to everybody else.
Hey, you bet, Bryan. Thanks so much.
All right, we'll see you, everybody.